The end of September is here. I've logged about 1,300 hours into Naraka Bladepoint. These recordings are from the last couple weeks, and within them I share some of my experiences, encounters, and discussions I've had with other players in the game. So, I went into, I did quite a bit of messing around and training. I went back into Hypernova's VOD and reviewed everything, and spent about, I don't know, an hour and a half fucking around with tap dodging and parrying, and you know, I tried to learn carousel, and I tried to learn the longsword double uppercut, and both of those were resounding failures. The uppercut is extremely inconsistent, and the carousel is flat out impossible. The inputs, holding like 3 different inputs at once and alternating between them, there's no way I can do that. The double uppercut, second crouch, I mean, even the first crouch is so inconsistent for me, and I really don't know why. Something is seriously wrong with the way that I do inputs, and I just don't get it. I can't do it. I'm pretty sure I'll just never be able to do combos. You've heard about E-roomies, but have you heard about E-daddies? I'll be your E-daddy for the fine price of coffee. We're gonna see if we can get some cues tonight. I've got a couple things I want to try out, not in regards to the game. Okay, do not ask why I am currently Kurumi. That's you're not prepared to know why I am Kurumi. I have done some modifications in BIOS. Nebula brought up in an unrelated conversation with someone else that his latency looked very high, and apparently his latency was like 7,000, 7,500. I don't know what that is, US or whatever they're called, whatever is below MS, I guess. So it's quite a bit of latency. I couldn't get a hold of whatever program they were using. I tried to look up a latency checker, and I wasn't very successful. Oh my god, Amelie, my biggest bro. Man, there's nobody on at all. Cat. I'll updude him. I'll updude this dude. And, I'm gonna be honest with you, I do not know who most of these people are. But that's okay. If they spam cat emotes, they're my best friend. I went ahead in my own BIOS, and I tried to look up this DPC checker, the latency checker, and I found DPC monitor, and then I found the checker. The monitor said my latency was hovering around like 30 to 160 or something like that. And the other one said it was like 1,000, straight up. So the other one is a little problematic though, because it's very ancient and apparently very, very inaccurate in Windows 10 and above. I couldn't find a new version except for a CMD one that wouldn't even run. Nobody gave me their supposedly up-to-date program, so I was left to my own devices. But I did do some research on CPUs and latency. I never really felt like my latency in this game was very high, but it could just be I'm still used to running older hardware configurations and it's never really left me, right? But latency is kind of a big deal. At least when you get into lower ping. Something Nebula told me is like, I don't know if anyone's told you this yet, but it needs to be said. It's basically impossible to get good at solos on 80 ms. Now, it's kind of interesting because in that regard, Hypernova was telling me it's possible. It's possible to play well, at least at 70 ms, and he apparently had his ping at 70 ms, and he was playing at that, and that was like the whole cusp of a lot of his dialogue with me that we had the other day, where I was trying to get information out of him, and trying to ask him questions and stuff like that. And Hypernova always sounds like he's so angry and so impatient, but Raptor lollies. No, Rapto lollies. Rap2 lollies. What did he mean by this? And but no, the ping is definitely a big issue. Like I can't do. Like he was saying that the double uppercut is really, and 2-1 is very hard to do above 60, and it feels very inconsistent. And well, I am definitely very inconsistent. We've got Kurumi here from EU. I am also Kurumi. It is specifically for that emote. I was giving it to people. That is just one of the best emotes in the game. I gotta say. And yeah, combo tech. I've been trying to learn combo tech. I've been trying to learn the double uppercut and stuff like that. And I think it might be not very useful in the upcoming patch. It's going to add in the disengage from quick match, the green focus. And that's going to make a lot of combo tech not as valuable. But I don't think everyone's going to be running that, though, because there's a lot of other glyph stuff coming out. And you're probably going to see a lot of people running it initially, but there are some other strong-sounding ones, and I don't even know all of them. And yeah, so anyways, I did the BIOS changes. I turned off cool and quiet. I turned off the C profile or something like that. And there might have been another one I turned off that they're kind of like they're power saving stuff that apparently AMD has said that this can increase latency. So this caused the DPC monitor, the latency monitor, to tell me that I was now averaging like 16 to 30. And the other one, I started seeing a floor of 6. And then spikes up to 1K. So it's I think that the DPC checker is fucked on Windows 10, like everything I read, but I think it is indicative that there's something that causes some latency spikes. Now, according to the monitor, the only thing that causes really major latency, other than the DirectX stuff, is actually the capture card. The deck link driver, which I guess kind of makes sense because this is kind of what you're looking for is drivers and stuff like that that can possibly cause issues. I don't know if there's a way I can actually like temporarily disable that. I mean, I haven't done LPs or anything like that for a while. I'm not really using the card right now, but I'm not sure if there's a way I can like just turn it off. But I haven't noticed, like, it feels like my camera feels a little better, actually. My camera feels a little bit more responsive. But actually, in training, every now and then on certain angles, I see ping spike, or, sorry, frame rate spikes up to 300. And that is different. And I wanted to try it out in-game, but I couldn't find a lobby. And there was no rooms that were up. So I might be, I always see this is that Tessa that I have beaten. I think it might be the same one that I've destroyed in Quick Match quite a few times now. But, oh, there's another one with a very similar name. But I think this is the same person as the one that I fought in Arena. And I quite handily beat them even though I wasn't playing very well. And apparently they always have a room open, and I don't really know. Someone's trying to coach them, I guess. And he must be training. Maybe he's training to get revenge on me. One day he'll show up and be like, let's duel again. It'll be the first time almost anyone ever says anything to me, and he'll just be like a god. And I'll just get juggled infinitely. I'm not getting Qs, and I don't know if I'm going to get Qs. Generic. I think that was that Shale that I ran into a long time ago. Twice in Quick Match. And I believe I beat him the first time, and he saltied, and I killed him. But only barely. And the second time, again, I beat him, and he saltied, and I beat him again. Again, only barely. He's actually very even. I think that's him, but I could be wrong. And then I just run into him and ranked every now and then, and I think I've beaten him. I don't know. I think he might have beaten me once or twice. I know he's killed me a couple of times, but they might have been on third parties. But he was actually fairly around my skill level, and then I think I might have started skill gapping him in my ranked play, but I don't like encountering him consistently. I know right now Hypernova is looking at the PTR, but there should be queues, presumably. Yeah, I think most of what I'm noticing with the BIOS changes are placebo, but all the programs do suggest I should be getting lower latency, which is more of a big... I'm gonna be so glad when all these combos are dead from that glyph. That's the best change I've seen them made, other than the FPS fixes, which I hope they keep doing, but they haven't yet. We need the FPS fucking fixed on all the animations. Why they were ever fucked to begin with, just is tremendous incompetence on behalf of the developer. What in the fuck? That wasn't my ping, was it? Dude, 15 minutes. It's 6, almost 6:30. This is ridiculous. Yeah. Fuck Valda. Fuck her up. Ah, you got fucked. Oh! 4044 must be referring to the only correct chroma subsampling profile that exists, which is none. Chroma subsampling is cancer. Just hit her. There, just like that. She was too close to the edge. So I've been trying to learn how to do tap dodging, and I probably won't ever know. Like, the thing I don't know about the timing, right? And with the ping, it's arguable to say I could ever really know the timing. Oh, that was you. That was your time to shine. Okay, never mind. You got the kill. It's not as clean MLG Pro 360 no scope 420 smoke a blunt as it could have been. But you got it in the end anyways. Oh man, that chief bully is online. It's so fucking stuttery in this place. Kaza Dorde Milks. Why you med? Neko Uwu. All these people we have in this lobby. How many of them are fucking queuing up for solos? Not nearly enough of them. If these guys were queued up for solos, we'd be in solos. We wouldn't be sitting here. Lord of the Fart Cloud has arrived. You fucked it! Ah, you're fucked. I think the high from his bong hit's wearing off. What is this fucking queue time? So, I played a couple customs with Immortal. And, he confirmed something with me that I've complained about a lot, but I've always speculated was half ping. Which is, Tessa's F gives priority to your enemies, actually. When they're staggered, their stagger is less than you are. That has happened a lot, and I've complained about that a lot. And I've always assumed it's a ping / FPS thing. No, he said it doesn't matter. And I'm pretty sure I did it to him once. Everyone else says that ADMS is unplayable. Sometimes I go below ADMS, but it being volatile actually probably makes it worse. I don't know if the input changes really help that much. I think there might be a difference there. Very, very small difference. I was able to get parries, but there was a lot of cases I wasn't able to get parries. That Valda comes to mind. There's a lot of times I try to parry and I just can't because of ping. But sometimes I also think I can parry, but I can't because there's an attack going. So I asked Immortal, why is it I keep losing neutrals? And he was saying, like, releasing blues at max range. Which didn't always result in a parry, but I guess when they can... Well, the thing is, it's not even just like locomotion, it's just the gap closing range. He uses predominantly the long sword. Actually, he uses exclusively the long sword as far as I could tell. And, I mean... the gap closing distance without even the magnetism is... yeah. The other thing that I think it happens is when I try to cancel the blues, I'm using dodge most of the time. And as I've tried to follow the advice of Nebula and Hypernova to an extent, of quote-unquote trying to play safe, whatever the fuck that means. Trying to play blue anyways. When I try to cancel out of it, I use the dash. That's wrong. You actually want to use crouch. The problem is, the crouch is not a very fast cancel. And as you can see, depending on what you're doing, sometimes a crouch horizontal is not that bad. Most of the time, it doesn't work at all. Sometimes it's worked with the pulse orc, mostly because people don't expect it, but most of the time, it's not actually what you want. Certainly like max range. Right, like there's a long delay between you being able to move again. I think there's cases where I want to cancel out using crouch instead of dash if I'm going to try to go for a catch. Rather, I gotta start trying to learn how to catch parries. But I think I need to be using crouch more than I am. I don't know. I'm still not sure what playing safe really means. I've tried to keep distance from blues, but it's... I don't know. I've noticed, Hypernova says that nobody does this. Nobody keeps distance from blues. And now that I've actually paid attention to that, yeah, there is actually a lot of people that do that. Actually, quite a lot of people do that. Actually, I would say probably like 50% of the players I've run into do that. Nebula decides there's no point in even doing solos at this stage. I should just stick to team games. Okay, sure. I would do duos more if Mucky was on more. Yeah, oh yeah, the Tessa thing is annoying. I know I can play her fine probably in duos and trios, but I think there's a good reason why we see almost next to none of them in solos except for weaker players. Okay, a strong player can play her, but a strong player can play anything too. I think a lot of people know how to exploit this. I was able to troll Immortal quite a bit with the pole sword, actually. It took him a little while to catch on to my pole sword playstyle. And I was able to once kill him flat out with a staff on Tesso. But he didn't use the longsword flip around to get behind you, like what Dildir showed us with the greatsword. I know that's possible with the pole sword because one of the other people did it. But he did something different, which was, I think something maybe Mucky, either Mucky or Dildir showed me, or possibly someone else. But you can pop the stone form and flip into a ranged weapon and shoot them. He didn't get a tremendous amount of mileage out of this because I recognized what he was doing, so I went aggressive whenever he did this, and I was able to catch him a lot as a result. So if you can recognize that's what they're trying to do, you can punish it a lot because you can hit them the moment they switch out to the ranged weapon. And not even Immortal could flip out back fast enough. But yeah, it's still something that can be exploited. Maybe it's due to my ping that he had a hard time countering it afterwards. Actually, securing kills at that point is still pretty difficult, though. But what I've kind of noticed playing these solos a lot and trying the different characters is something I'm definitely going to struggle with if I ever play anything else other than Tessa or V2 Justina. I'm actually not really good with 100 rage cost abilities. I am not good at rage management. I need something I can kind of spam that has an instant actuation versus a transform. Transforms I'm not doing too well with. Okay, I've killed a couple people with Sura and a couple people with Zai, but I don't think that Zai is too hard for me to chase people, and it's just kind of weak in general. Sura is... Well, I died to an Akos without even getting the ult off, so I'll let you think about that one for a while. I actually saw her trying Lanny, but I'm expecting her to get nerfed a lot, actually. We're getting a whole bunch of free gold. It expires in the, whenever the fuck. I don't know, man. I definitely acknowledge it's a, very much a vertical climb from this point. I do get kills on people. I think that my record in the last while has actually been not terrible compared to before. There's still a lot of games with 0 kills in them, but there are some games I am getting a kill every now and then. I even had 4 kills in one champion fight. I can't remember which one this was. There's shit like this that's kind of part and parcel. I got a win today. That was my 6th win that I got today. My KD is dropping still. Back down to 0.74 with a 2.7 win rate. Pretty normal. So even though it feels better, it really isn't, because the throughput to reach this point is really bad. It's not even 11:30 and queues are already dead. It's a Friday night, by the way. I don't know what to do. I really don't. Or if I should do anything and just keep doing what I'm doing. Well, what I will tell you is the queues are dead. I guess I'm just forced to call it a day unless we can get a... There was a room of I'm near X, but it's fucking passworded. I think either Neko-chan fixed his sleep order or the fact that I semi-fixed mine. And I haven't even seen him on, and I can't even stalk him. Those were good lobbies. I feel like that I was making some progress in those, because they were definitely all well above me, but it wasn't like impossible, like I could take rounds off of them.
At the time of this recording is September 29th, 2025. I've deduced it's probably best to follow Nebula's advice and give up on ranked solos. I've played against him as recently as this morning, and I felt like I did better than I did the previous encounters. I've also played against Immortal, as mentioned earlier. Mucky at an average of 50 MS can half charge through soft white combos. That means if I jump attack him one too many times, he'll get to intercept my soft combos and take priority and combo me. It's a basic function of the combat system that you can do this. I can't do this. It's not entirely clear why, but it's likely that half charges are not input buffered, and the client sends the related packet once a stagger ends. Since my ping averages 80 MS, that's just slightly too high for it to register. That means that if I try to half charge to break soft combos, I will take unnecessary damage and never escape. I have to dodge out, which means using stamina. As I've tried to learn tab dodging, I've found myself running out of stamina quite a lot because of things like this. Both Nebula and Hypernova has stated that a higher ping has to play safer, but what exactly constitutes as safe is still not yet clear. You can't hold blues for very long on most weapons, and lower ping players can intercept most of your animations before your ping allows you to react. Trying to navigate tech chases and catches is at best a coin flip, especially since half charging is not a tool you can use. In customs, I find parrying a bit easier, but in actual survival, it's a tremendously unreliable and yet critical mechanic. Some weapons like the longsword are at best a coin flip. Deldir wasn't wrong about any of the things he said about what he does and why, but it rings all the more true for me at this time. I can't use half charges to break staggers, and I can't use parries at all. Relying on either of them offers a free win to my opponent, or puts me at a tremendous disadvantage. That's why Casper highlighted learning your opponent's ping as one of the most important components to obtaining his current skill level. A low ping player will still get trolled by a high ping player. On his VOD, when I finally beat him at the end of my hours-long Justina V1 recording, he tries to parry a blue, and on my end I never see it. It may not have earned him a victory, but it most likely would have changed the entire tempo of the fight at that point, especially if he followed into an ult that I later commented he held for too long. In the rare fight, I'm able to parry when I want to. I push the button, and I parry. My opponent gets fucked. I am a reflex player. I'm old, but some of my ancient skills still remain. When I am focused, I can still perform in the spectrum of the decades-honed skill set I first built with N64 shooters. I don't predict, I act and react. Part of my reaction skills is building a profile of my opponent. This is indeed a prediction element, but it's also why I struggle the most with certain playstyles. Players who go hard aggro and spam certain blues will troll me a lot in Naraka if my parries don't work. Against bots in training, and a single time against Mucky, I was able to react parry to follow a blue from dual blade vertical blues. Else, 99 out of 100 times if I do not buffer this parry, it will never happen, no matter what weapon I use. I've had more difficulties with arguably lower level players than Immortal in my survival games, whereas my customs with Immortal and Nebula are more par the course. It doesn't take land speeds and 500 FPS for players to jitter around and behave in weird ways, and it certainly doesn't take this kind of performance contrast for my end of the equation to be at best unreliable and otherwise unusable. As the days progressed in September, I found myself getting more and more angry and quitting my sessions sooner and sooner, often 2 or 3 games in. I found it a chore just to do the games necessary for the dailies. Since bots and quick match still spawn very slowly and just input read you, I don't even find it worth leveling hero cultivation in there anymore. The highlights of the month have certainly been customs, even the ones where I accomplish utterly nothing. I look past such interactions and focus on myself. Self-improvement has always been my goal. I'm going to lose almost every fight I encounter, but what I would have expected to see is improvement. I thought I was improving, but my matches are not getting any easier, and I don't feel any more prepared to deal with Maki or anyone else, even when they don't play for extended periods of time. I still have no idea what spacing or playing by spacing entails, and this whole video I've been able to locate on the subject doesn't actually explain anything besides the extremely bizarre behavior of parry putting collision in front of you. When most players are hard aggro and spamming whites that perpetually stun lock you, spacing out to parry a blue is never going to happen at all. I think Nexus and Hypernova both are greatly underestimating just how enormous their skill gap is from people who don't have the same kind of game experience they have, and that their explanations need a tremendous amount of context and abstraction to actually be explanations at all. Attempts to probe for this information has always met a brick wall, and I just feel compelled to give up. Only a mortal who told me I was releasing blues at max distance gave me a real hint as to what I can try to change to break neutral catches out of these encounters. It did allow me to get me a kill on him, but only in a Tessa mirror. When I don't feel like I'm being horribly punished by ping, the game can be enjoyable. But the second I try to parry someone slightly too laggy, our combined ping collides, and it becomes unbearable. If someone goes aggro and I'm forced to burn all my stamina and then get stun locked anyways, there's just no point bothering. There's many players far down the leaderboard who'll simply run up and start spamming, and there's nothing I can do about it at all. If I can force someone to play slower, then suddenly the game can be manageable. But once someone knows your high ping, they'll destroy you effortlessly time and time again. Hypernova played at 70 ms and said he was able to manage it and play like a low ping player. But going in the opposite direction after years of experience in the game is not the same thing. I can and likely will try to study his play, but I doubt it'll ever make a difference. I'm past the point where playtime is much of an excuse to be having as much trouble as I am. While it's true most players have more playtime than I do, I should be closing the gap between us, especially given how many of those players have not played non-stop as I have, and don't have as much experience in other competitive gaming as I have. My problems appear to be more fundamental and hard-coded, and even identifying what they are, minus the obvious ones like button mashing, is extremely difficult, and fixing them seems impossible. Back in Brood War, my biggest challenge was multitasking. I eventually became proficient in micro, and with enough focus I could even do repetitive tasks that solved equations like build orders fairly well. It took almost 20 years to become able to do multitasking to any extent. But the problem with this kind of focus is that it would compound an existing problem. This problem is awareness, not simply, for example, paying attention to the mini-map, but paying attention to details, worker saturation, keeping factories running and money low, especially in mid-game. Not necessarily late game, where long periods of time actually helped me focus more, but mostly mid-game. In fact, I was the strongest player out of almost any group of players I've ever competed with when it came to marathon-style gaming. I was notorious in StarCraft 2 and hated in scenes after the fact for this reason. I don't fatigue the same way other players do. In modern terminology, you might say it takes me quite a while to lock in. This is not a useful skill in Naraka. It helps me somewhat between games, but I actually find it difficult to focus between games because of how frustrated I become. I'm not necessarily frustrated with losing, but I'm frustrated with the cycle of working so hard, only to lose because of some stupid technicality like ping. Supermassive skill gaps don't frustrate me as much as losing to people I know are in my skill range, or at least have only played as long as I have. But over long periods of time, I will gradually get more and more annoyed if I can't improve. Naraka is by far the longest period of time I've consistently played a game without any noticeable improvement. It frustrates me even further when high-end players give me a few sentences of what they think is advice, but may as well be crayon scribbles of dick butt to me. It's telling when our second session with Deldir was supposed to be an hour of coaching and it turned into over 3 hours of just fucking around. The experience was enjoyable for everyone, and we totally lost sight of any real goals we had coming into it. The skill differences didn't matter. The game was fun. Ping differences and other oddities took a backseat as Deldir and Mucky have comparable performance. Deldir commented to some extent that times like this were the only reason he ever came back to the game. In trios, we have a perfect record against BWG Raven and his various wives. Every single time we've run into them, we have either destroyed them or otherwise fucked them over through the power of coincidence. Every so often, I go through streams of people I know we've beaten because I enjoy relishing in their pain. Some disgusting duos expressed juvenile rage at the fact we got our alts off against a third party that attacked us after defeating them, one of the TTV groups we effortlessly killed in an earlier video collection, claiming it was black magic, when it was really just a spirit line being captured. One of Raven's wives, I believe Merlinda, commented about something in regards to the game requiring you to try too hard to win all the time. Actually, almost all of their stream was bitter long before they lost to literal nobodies repeatedly. Prosper apparently hates solos, and watching his stream was endearing to an extent. He raged out when someone third-partied him, and apparently Iron Wang was enough to make him quit for that day. How many of my videos have I yelled about Transformers being utterly brain-dead design? Way more than what has been uploaded. What is it about Naraka that makes people hate it universally? Perhaps this is simply the nature of the Battle Royale, and the fact I'm noticing this trend is simply me catching up on what everybody else already feels. Never in my time have I seen such universal hatred for the game someone plays. Even League of Legends still had people more favorably view it for reasons inexplicable, but nonetheless they did. At some point, you have to ask yourself what you really want out of an experience and what is the best way to obtain it. I've already gone through this. But the method to obtaining competency is not legible to me. What I've been told is bits and pieces of a vast puzzle I can't even begin to grasp the full scope of. The disengage glyph will help me somewhat, but it won't fix any of the underlying problems I have. It may simply give me more chances. Maybe all of my fights against Immortal won't end in 1 or 2 hits. There's nothing exciting about combos. It's the worst part of the game. I want to learn how he plays, not how he performs QTEs. But can I learn that just by playing random customs? I don't think so. Customs may help me learn the muscle memory I need to defeat the enemy of multitasking. It's likely a critical component to mastering how to deal with the characters and remembering their cooldowns. My fights against Nebula prepared me for dealing with Valda somewhat. I owe almost all of my recent Valda kills to those matches, but I still can get hit by her ult all the time in dumb ways, and still don't know how to deal with the temporary health. My matches with Mucky and Daledeer have prepared me somewhat with Tarka, and not to panic when he starts tripping out. It's likely why I was able to fight I'm near Axe and Neko-chan for 20. But the core problems of my neutrals don't seem to be righting themselves. Mucky continually catches me over and over in the exact same way he has for a year now, and I still don't know why or how it keeps happening. Some habit, some line of thinking I have somehow adopted is wrong. I still forget Tarka has a counterattack, and I run face first into it all the fucking time, even after I just fought him. Perhaps it is simply that my brain is too fried to do well at games anymore. Given the events of the last 13 years, I am completely fried everywhere else in life. What is there left for me to do exactly? What do I have to live for exactly? Questions I've been asking since 2021, questions that have no answer. I think this is simply it. This is my skill ceiling and where I'll remain from here on. We see success in duos and trios as sketchy at best, and then there's fucked shit like what happened in this game. No amount of skill prepares you for the utter insanity of Unity. What even is this? This is a fucking travesty is what this is. It's wrong. This person deserves to be slapped, and whoever coded this netcode deserves to be slapped. I have watched this 100 times, and I still don't know what the fuck happens. He just gets to parry me. Even if he was somehow parrying the follow-up, it hadn't even started yet. Is this ping? What is this? Baffling. I'm better off putting the time I put into ranked solos into other projects that don't frustrate me nearly as much. I'll likely test the waters with Disengage in the new glyph system, but it's best I abandon the notion of ever becoming good at this game. especially in 1v1. If I am to attempt solos again, I have to make some careful considerations if I'm going to continue to do so on Tessa or not. Tessa is definitely very weak compared to other heroes. I mean, just within the scope of this video alone, you've seen people pop out of the enchant in my ult right in the middle of my combo and immediately turn around and get priority on me. That happens a lot, because when they're under enchant, they're not being staggered, so people like Volda gets just to do whatever the fuck they want when they come out of it. Then there's the F priority, which is just goofy, and the fact that cooldown is long in general. I like Tessa because having a 60 cost rage ult basically allows me to be really brainless about it. I can just use it and then focus on my neutrals. That works best for me. Viper plays more around silence and buff durations, which is not really my thing. Also, things that make people run away from me is kind of a pain because I'm very bad at chasing. Here's an extensive clip where we spend, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 minutes chasing a single Kurumi around. That should probably give you some idea if all the other videos I've shown you thus far don't give you an idea that I lose track of people very easily. I'm not very good at chasing. I can get away from people in many cases, but actually chasing them is just... I struggle with the controls in this game so fucking much. I played some duos with Omni earlier today, today being October 5th, of course, and for a chunk of those I played Zai and I basically never got to use my ult. The fights ended one way or another before my ult came up. And it was just so hard to navigate around and chase people and keep up, and we'd always get separated, and it was awkward, honestly. It was really painful. I'll show some of those clips in a few moments so we can take a look at what I mean, but I mean, just in general, if I play something like Zai, or I play something like Sarah, or I play, you know, even like Volda a handful of times, and people just run, I'm not good enough to keep up the pressure. So, while I've had success with Sarah, and I've even had success with Sarah in duos, more thanks to Mucky than anything, of course. I mean, look at this, I just... Wave dashing still doesn't work 90% of the time. I get really mad when that happens. I start yelling. Like, it just pisses me off. It's just irritating as fuck. Like, why doesn't it just work? There's something wrong with the inputs in everything I do in this game. I'm constantly doing something wrong where it's just not working. Like, when... I asked, like, how do I learn how to play? How do I get better? And people say, oh, watch Douyin clips. Watch the Chinese play. Dude, that isn't useful. It isn't even useful if I'm seeing their inputs. That just isn't... This is fucking terrible advice. I can watch high-level people all I want. I can watch people in these games when they kill me, and I can watch them. That's not going to teach me how to play. That doesn't teach me any of the theory that they have. That doesn't teach me why they're doing XYZ. What their mindset is. People like Immortal... You're not going to see them playing at 100% every game. Because they're going to be trolling. Because most people aren't going to be testing them. Because they know enough of the game at that point that they don't need to play at 100%. They don't need to do everything right. They can just do whatever the fuck. Immortal was playing Kurumi for a while. Just didn't care. I killed him on Kurumi at the start of the match. And I told him to switch over to Voldo. It was a completely different fight. And then he switched over to Tessa. Like... The thing is that just telling people just to watch other people play without any explanation, that doesn't work for me. That doesn't work for a lot of people. You need someone to actually tell you what's going on, why they're doing X, Y, Z. You need actual explanations. It's not even just coaching, it's just like basic bitch, like explaining the thought process behind doing stuff. It's just like tutorials for anything. For Blender, for fucking Unreal Engine, for all this shit that I've tried to learn over the years. Do you know how few tutorials I have found that are any good? I can say there's probably less than a dozen tutorials I have seen in the last 25 years I would actually count as good. And the vast majority of them were from Zach, one of the Epic staff members. Back when Unreal 4 was still fairly young, before he no longer developed them. He got moved elsewhere in the company. He was actually a fairly good presenter, and he did explain stuff. and he had a good flow to it. It takes actual skill to make a good production that actually explains and gets you into this shit. And you know what? The vast majority of people don't even attempt to do that. Just explaining, oh, you push a button here and there, and that's how you dodge. The spacing is just, oh, be at this edge and hit parry, and you parry. Oh, great. Okay, so how do you get the timing down that you know when to go out? When is the theory that you're going to actually apply this? What about people who just hard aggro onto you and you can never put any distance for them, so you never get to make spacing against them? So now what do you do? That's like half of the people that kill me. They're just on me, and I can't do anything about it. What about people that are flipping through crossing over and over and over and over again? Right? Like, what do I do when I am 80 ping and I can't just try to intercept their whites with my whites because my timing is behind? What exactly do you mean by playing blue? You can try to exchange your timers and go between 1.0 and 1.5 and 2.0. What about the fact that when I do that, I still get parried anyways? Because the parries have such incredibly inconsistent parry windows, where if I try to hold a parry, I will get parried by it anyways, or they will just have a second parry up. So now what do I do? Because I've tried to do this. I've tried to play blue, and you know what? It just lets them parry a second time. Because I can't time it, because it's too inconsistent. So what? Do I just do nothing at that point? Maybe it's just time to uninstall at that point. So when Hypernova goes and says, oh, this is how you play at this. Oh, by the way, I'm playing like I'm low ping. It's like, okay, dude, so tell me what the difference is. His explanations are just terrible. And the excuse, oh, go watch Douyin videos. Okay, it took me a while to figure out how to get Douyin to work on a browser, because it doesn't work on most browsers. And it's like, great, I get to watch people who have post-processed their videos to fuck in a manner that is absolutely incomprehensible eye strain. And it's just the same clips I can watch in English at any point. Like, there's basically no difference. Okay, the players are higher level, but like, watching a guy get 4 or 5 headshots in midair, great, I know it's possible. I've seen these clips before. That doesn't really teach me anything. Right? Like, there's just... It doesn't help. And I don't care if it's in Chinese. Like, it doesn't matter if I can understand what they're saying or not. There needs to be some actual, like, explanation of what's going on. They need to be able to actually paste stuff out and explain, this is what's going on. Now, you're not going to get that if it's there, because it is Chinese. But, like, watching kill clips and stuff like that, Chinese or not, that isn't learning content. And to say it is just goofy. Like, I can literally watch my own kill clips. It is identical to what you're gonna find on Douyin. The level of play will be lower level, but it is just as valuable as a learning experience. Look, here's a match where I managed to win against someone. It looks like I know what I'm doing because I'm winning. None of the steps here are reproducible, because each and every fight and every opponent is gonna be different, and all the circumstances are gonna be changing. You might be able to replicate this against the same opponent, especially if they're low level, but at that point it's just useless as a learning resource anyways. Why would you ever recommend someone to go watch kill clips as a learning resource? It just... You can't apply this shit. You're not playing at the same level. You're not applying at the same performance. None of it is applicable. Why? You can't claim that you're a coach unless you actually really interact with the people you're trying to coach. And one-liners aren't enough to teach anything in this game. Watching kill clips isn't anything to learn in this game. Yes, you can learn about individual interactions, but there's so much going on that you don't know. You have to watch interactions over long periods of time. And that's why the developer's balancing approach to the heroes in this game is unbelievably stupid. Rather than make the balancing balanced, they just add in this hero point buy system for their tournaments instead, so they don't have to balance their heroes. Because if they didn't, every single lobby would be Lanny, every single lobby would be Valda, or whatever the flavor of the month is. They just don't bother to balance it. They're just like, okay, just buy heroes on points. Great. That's why you look at trios matches where literally every single team was Kylan zipping Tian Hai. Because, well, That's optimal. So of course they're going to do it. We could make Tianhai an interesting hero that has interesting play associated with them. We could tone down the mobility creep of Zipping and Kylan. Nah. I've played Blizzard games, and I've played Blizzard adjacent games, you know, League of Legends and so on. I'm accustomed to them being incredibly imbalanced and stupid. That's just part of the process of dealing with developers that don't give a shit about their game. Look at the ping, look at their performance. Of course the heroes are going to be fucked. They haven't figured out how to make the fundamentals of the game function properly, much as anything that actually takes a little bit of effort. So why worry about this stuff? That's just what you're signed into. That's a part of your experience. You can passively hope that someday they might decide to actually hire a game developer and maybe like make the game interesting to play again. Because that's another thing a lot of old players have told me, is that the game has lost a lot of its appeal because of how transformer-centric it has become, because of how incredible the utility creep of heroes like Lanny has become. I'm sitting here trying to focus on neutrals, and the people that knew neutrals, that were good at neutrals in the past, a lot of their effort has been marginalized by the hero creep. Just the general thing you always expect out of these products is because they have to sell new heroes. They have to make them more overpowered than the others. And if they have a weak release, they gotta overtune the fuck out of them. That's how they make their money. That's how they sell their skins. They just have to do that because the free-to-play model is cancer. It's always been cancer. It always will be cancer. That's just part and parcel for the kind of game that you're dealing with. So I'm here trying to learn neutrals. I'm behind the curve. I have a lot of issues with Transformers and Valda and Tarka and so on. And a part of my training is to try to deal with those heroes. To try to contend with them. To try to play around them. To do what I can. And that's just kind of part of the thing, but it's not my focus yet. It's not really my focus. We lose a lot of games. Trios, duos, solos to Transformers and things like that. And it's like, well, okay. You know, Iron Wang transformed and then I died because there's not much I can do about it. And it's like, well, that's just Iron Wang. I won the neutrals to get into transform. So I consider that my win. I consider that an improvement. I may lose the match and lose the fight, but if I forced him to transform, then he obviously was being pushed to the point that they had to do that. Now there's nothing I can do once he transforms, once he gets on you. It's just... Right? Can't even really try to iframe him with my ping. You're just fucking stuck there. Valda can easily TOD you. The second she gets you in a combo, she can cycle her ult and she can TOD you. Now, Nebula isn't doing this very often, but he can do it. Immortal can do it. Random players and solos can do it. It happens all the time. So at least I'm learning little bits and pieces of interacting with this character through this. But at the end of the day, I'm here more or less to try to learn the neutrals and try to figure out what works, what doesn't work, trying to get button discipline down, shit like that. The Valda learning is just kind of an aside. It's nice to have. But she's capable of so much more than this that we're not really seeing because it's just a blatantly busted hero. I can try to adopt the hero, I can try to follow the meta and chase the meta in that regards, but I've generally never really been like that. Not in any of these games I've played, except for Epic 7 and stuff like that, because the investment in that was a lot less. It isn't just about a pride thing like, oh, I know this hero is overpowered, so I don't want to deal with it just because it's overpowered, and I don't want to play it just to become, you know, that flavor of the month kind of guy. It's also because I don't feel like I really should need to. You can beat Valda without being Valda. So why can't I do it? Why can't I learn to iframe it like everyone else does? Well, the ping certainly doesn't help, but that shouldn't be the only thing stopping me. There's improvement I can make. So that's what I focus on most. I don't make an excuse for this beyond, I need to improve. These matches do help me improve. Just ever so slightly, not at the pace I would like. Certainly not at the pace that I need. But it's something. I didn't know you could iframe things. I didn't know that the fist weapon dodge worked like that. I mean, it makes perfect sense to work like that, but I've never seen anyone use it like that until this point. So that was new. I learned something. That's how you have to improve when you don't know how to improve. You take little bits and pieces of experience, and you try to remember those experiences when you get hit by them again. It's not about learning from an experience. It's from being hammered with an experience over and over and over and over and over and over, to the point that it starts becoming a second nature, that it starts becoming the muscle memory. One of the problems I have in these fights against Nebula is I do not know how to catch. I do not know how to catch him out of knocking him down. I don't know how to tech chase. I don't know any of these things. I didn't know they even had a specific name until a couple weeks ago. There's a reason why he doesn't get up off the ground sometimes. There's reasons why he changes his timings in that regard. There's reasons why he sits there and crouches for a while. I can catch him sometimes when he does this, but a lot of people don't. And the reason why he doesn't do that is because every now and then, you run into people who have a tech chase down that follows a very specific timing. And he's trained that against that specific timing, and it works less against me because I don't know that. I don't know that at all. I don't really know any of this stuff, and I don't have an easy way to do it except to just keep hammering it over and over and over and over again. I don't have an example to follow. I don't have a tutorial, a guide. I don't have a theory video. I don't have anything. Nothing at all. There's no resource for any of this that I can find in the English-speaking world, and I have looked quite a lot. There is nothing I can find that goes through this stuff, that talks about any of this theory or how to deal with any of this stuff, or how spacing is applied and when and where and so on. Just the 1 5-minute video that showcases some of the weapons and the things you can parry at what distances. That's it. That's like a reference. It's almost like an API documentation without any explanation how to actually apply any of it. It's just as worthless. It's absolutely just as worthless. Until you already know how to apply it. And if you don't know how to apply it, then it really isn't worth anything at all. I come back and I contemplate these things time and time again, but I don't learn anything from any of them. I'm not going to come out of these discussions or these observations with any kind of revelation. I know so much that I cannot even express in words. But the application, actually mapping it to muscle memory and knowing how the fuck to do things and remembering that I can or should do any of these things, that's something I can't just teach myself. I can't do that. Because I can't just learn like a normal person can. I can't follow the same kinds of recipes that other people can. All I can do is just get fucked over and over and over again until I start lucking over into things. It's the only way I can try to move forward. But I do have to say that I don't have the patience to keep doing that forever. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Nebula is not incorrect when he says I should give up on solos, and I pretty much have at this point. There's a reason why most of these people that I talk to, high level, low level, don't really do solos that much. And that's because it's not really that fun, even for them at that point. Now, the reasons why they may say it's not fun can change, but I've heard from so many people that they really, really hate solos in this game, even though they love the combat and they play all these customs and so on. And it really can just be the battle royale nature, right? Or it could be just the fact that the game by nature is frustrating as it is, even when you know what you're doing. The same can be true, and most certainly said from my experiences with StarCraft, where I also felt like I wasn't really getting anywhere despite playing dozens to hundreds to thousands of games in any given matchup or across any given period of time. But the reality is, well, I didn't give up in quite the same way, I suppose. But again, my direction forward was a little more clear back then than it is now. Which should I train the most at this stage, other than attempting to learn tap dodging? I think trying to remember to use ranged weapons is kind of a big deal. That's something I forget. I can see at least 1 or 2 potential kills on Nebula I could have had here if I had thought to use ranged weapons. But I didn't, because I forgot they exist. I also don't understand when's a good time to bring them out. If I knock them on the ground, how much time is actually a hard combo? That part I also don't really know. It's not mapped into my memory. You can get a lot of damage out of certain things. The other thing is that combo breaks seem to be based on the first hits. So in some cases, actually using the vertical blue on the spear is better than using the actual counterattack, because the counterattack gives a multiple hit, and Volda, for example, can pop out of it and just ignore all this damage that you could have otherwise put on her because out of 1 single hit. So there's things that are like, I know this, but actually remembering to do that, especially when I so rarely get a counterattack, yeah, kind of a big deal. These fights are just fucking goofy. Look at this, is just random parries. I have no idea what I'm doing in this fucking game. Alright, that's done. Now back to cold water. So, you have chosen Tism. Okay. Rip. Just pops out of his ult instantly. Oh. Oh, some more break. Holy shit, we got a queue. Holy shit. Holy shit, we got a queue. They're real. They really do exist. It took about an hour and a half, 2 hours. Fan-fucking-tastic. I don't know how long I'm gonna be playing. Probably not that long. Given how angry it's probably gonna make me. It's a champion fight. Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? Lag. Little bit of burst to get us off the day. No! You piece of shit. Fuck ass. It's alright, I got flying knives. Yeah, forced her F out. I'm obviously good. Oh no, she also has flying knives. I guess I'll get to do nothing. Alright, the Yakko's worked very hard for that kill, so he deserves it. Alright, we're gonna immediately salty this because why would you not? That was an incredibly long queue. You can't interact with her at all when she's in that, because why would you want to interact with the game? I guess I'll get to do nothing. Excellent. Good shit, good shit. On to the next lobby. No, why would I ever use a scorecard? I want to lose rank, not gain it. Alright, let's take a look at my record. I'm kind of curious what our duos was like. Yeah, we did get Azura. We actually had a fair bit of okay games, including 2 that were not champion fights. Isn't that great? We even won a champion fight. That's abnormal. Did I even process that recording? I think I did. Good shit. Good shit. I actually had a few duos. Quite a few duos. Not as many solos in my record anymore. Most of them are pretty part and parcel, though. I like this one in particular. This is one I got ping checked on pretty good. That's a good name. I like it. That's a very good name. That's the best name I've seen on the list in a while. Although Cum Guzzler that Prosper ran into is also really, really good. My parry. Wow, that was really a delay. Ah, I'm out of here. He's coming. I don't know who that is. Who is that? Oh, it's a Volda. She's already got yellow armor. There's nothing worse than Volda. Yeah, it's already over. Yeah, instantly hit. I tried to iframe it, but it didn't matter.
私の足元にひれ伏しなさい。私の足元にひれ伏しなさい。
Don't emote at me, dude. You're Volda. Dude, it was him. I killed him. Somehow. I can't believe I killed Pep 3R. That guy knows how to do TODs. It's kind of ridiculous.
一緒に楽しみましょう。
Ah, I walked into it.
カチョン。武具を落としちゃうなんて。私たちの縁もこれで切れたわね。
That was a little unfair.
全てが破壊されるのをとくと見よ。
疲れちゃった。
Uh-huh. I don't know what happened to my ult, but... Okay. I mean, I killed a Volda in that game, and a Turka, so I can't really be too disappointed about it. That's probably the best game I've had in solos for, like, 2 or 3 weeks.
Balanced by learn and upgrade at the shops by spawn and the E upgrade destroy the enemy to win. Uninstall above Flash, uninstall above French. Fuck!
At this time, it's certainly a good idea to take Nebula's advice and just quit ranked solos. Quick match solos is pretty boring too, so I guess I won't really play that much at all until maybe Mucky wants to play or something. There's just not really much point bothering, it's just frustrating. Why sign on just to get farmed by the same 5 or 10 people? There's nothing to gain from it. I can't play with 80 ping against them. This game doesn't even work for me the same way. It's just you have this incredible disadvantage on top of not knowing what you're doing. Can't even level the playing field.